In this video, we're going to look at a coronal section through the brain, and this will help us to identify the different layers of cranial meninges, as well as some of the spaces that they produce and the types of fluids that are found in those spaces. So I'm going to start just by drawing a simple sort of schematic of the brain in coronal or frontal section. I'm going to leave this gap in the midline. As you recall, the brain is incompletely separated into left and right hemispheres, and this space that we've left would be the longitudinal fissure. Now, by drawing the external surface of the brain, I've already drawn the first layer of meninges, and this is called pia mater. Now, pia is so intimately connected to the outside surface of the brain that you can't separate them, and so we'll just label that as being sort of one and the same. The next layer will have a slight gap from the pia, so that space is significant. I'm just going to follow all the contours that I drew right down into that fissure as well. And this new layer is arachnoid mater. And the space that we left is referred to as the subarachnoid space. And the subarachnoid space will contain cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF. Now, the next layer of meninges is a little bit more complicated. It will be very closely related to the arachnoid mater. It's hard to draw it really, really close, but there isn't really a space between these next two layers. I'm only going to draw it up to here. This third and outermost layer is the toughest layer, and it's called dura mater. And at this point, this is actually a two-layered structure with the layers sort of fused. Now, the reason why it's important to identify that is that at certain areas throughout the brain, those layers will separate, and that's going to happen right here at the top. So we're going to have one layer continue across the top, and the other layer will pass into that fissure. So when they separate, this will be periosteal dura, referring to the fact that it stays close to the bone. And this layer will be meningeal dura. Now, when this happens on the other side, the exact same pattern. I'm drawing this as close as I can because there is not really a space between dura and arachnoid. These two layers of meningeal dura meet, and this is actually one of our dural extensions. This is the falx cerebri. You can also see that the separation of those dural layers has left a space, and this is one of our dural venous sinuses. Specifically, the way I've drawn this would be the superior sagittal sinus. Now, the dural venous sinuses and this superior sagittal sinus are carrying deoxygenated blood from the brain back towards the heart ultimately, but they also contain a mixture of cerebrospinal fluid. And the way that happens is that there are little trees or tufts that pass from the arachnoid, subarachnoid space into that channel, into that sinus, and those structures are called arachnoid granulations.